Good morning, Sedlisi. Bonjour, bonjour, Sedlisi. Welcome to the Red Table on Radio Caribbean International, the Caribbean Sound. You are tuned into the FM stereo dial of 101.1. You can also 99.1. And you can listen live online at rcistlucia.com. Follow our live stream online as well. I am your host, Ika Fergus, here with you until 8 o'clock. And just a reminder that the Red Table is a talk show created as an avenue for the St. Lucia Labour Party candidates to have a one-on-one session where they can discuss their role and agenda in the party and the upcoming election. The show is on from Monday to Friday at 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. and will run up until Friday. Well, tomorrow. Today is Thursday, the 27th of November, 2025. And my guest today is the candidate for Castries Southeast, Miss Lisa Jawahir. And of course, we're definitely looking forward to speaking to her today. Okay, so we do have her online. Ms. Jawahir, just unmute your microphone. So we can be wonderful. So we can begin. Good morning, Ms. Jawahir. How are you?
Good morning, Ika. Good morning to all your listeners and viewers. Good morning, St. Lucia. Good morning, Castries Southeast. I am very good this morning. Yes, my throat is a bit sore because I've been speaking a whole lot more than I've ever done in my life, but I am
Yes.
really good and happy to be here this morning.
I know you have been clocking a lot of audio hours. And I know
I'll
you
get
will
to
have.
your point, Ika, where I can speak as smoothly as you can.
Yes, very soon, very soon, very soon. Okay, so we head straight into the discussion. I know that you have been up and about for the past months, and of course, we're getting to the climax of this whole political event happening this time. So, just for those who may know. Those who may not know, but those who just want some reassurance. The question that we begin with is, who is Lisa Jawahir as a person, and who is she also within the constituency of Castries Southeast?
Well, where do we start? Um, it really started off with community service in the church, and I went on to traveling, doing my studies abroad, and then coming back serving as the PR for the South Castries Youth and Sports Council, and that council services Castries South and Castries Southeast. And even during my time there was a lot of persons calling and saying, maybe you should run for politics one day. Maybe you should put your hat into the ring. And I thought about it. I said, okay, in 2019, I first applied. I agreed and I applied to run the seat. That time COVID came and, there's not much time to go around and do house to house. But we had a candidate before, although he didn't win, he was given another opportunity and he won in 2021. The SLP has principles that are founded upon democracy that allow for anybody to apply to become a member and for persons to go through a process to become candidates for the party for the election. And so it's not automatic that if you won your seat that you get to run. So say for example, even in Philip J. Pierce's constituency, he had to go through that process as well. And if somebody
Yes.
came up and wanted to run as well, then the party would make a decision, do various in assessments. It's a very, very deep process. It's very layered. It's not, and so you can imagine that a decision to choose a candidate will not come lightly. I mean, there's background checks, etc., etc. Not not something I want to bore you with right now, but I was successful this time around. And what I've been able to push in the constituency is really about sustainable development and empowerment. In times past, people complain about the fact that they always have to visit the parliamentary representative's office so they can get support every week. And I don't know, but I just think that that is just not the way to go. Because, of course, you don't want people coming to your office every week asking for the same thing over and over.
Over
You
and
want
over.
them to be in a position to be empowered so
Right.
they can take care of themselves and their families. And the policies that we have put in place so far have been able to achieve just that. So for me, my advocacy has really been surrounded upon people empowerment and hope for the future. My story, I know I've given it many times, but since you've asked, it's really the story of humble beginnings, but it's also the story of being a product of policies that put people first. And I always said that when we didn't know how I was going to attend secondary school, it was the Labour Party who had put the $500 bursary program in place in the year 2000 under Dr. Kenny Anthony, who was Prime Minister and political leader of the SLP at the time. And that policy sent me to school. That's how I went to secondary school. And, fast forward to today, I have a master's degree in strategic communication, served as an opposition senator, government senator, spokesperson, and communications director for the SLP, and now a candidate for election. So, it really has empowered me. And from the voices of other persons, they feel that, all is not lost. I mean, Ika, your circumstances are never on your faces. People don't know
Right.
your story, they don't know your struggle. And parents always wonder what's going to happen to my children next year or a year after. Will they fall through the cracks? Will they end up on the block? But when you address these social issues, from a tender age, like we have been doing, and like we have been investing in, then you are more likely to have a result of a reduction in an unemployment rate, reduction in crime and deviant behavior, etc., etc. So we are here, and we are what, 3 days away from the big day, Ika?
Yes, yes. Just a few more sunsets and sunrises, and we
Just
will
a
be
few
at the
more.
polling station. Yes. So, before we get into how confident you are in your constituents, and of course the plans that you have, and what you have taken note of what has happened in your constituency during the SLP tenure, just get a little more personal. As a young woman, how do you feel being a representative of young working class women, or well, younger women who are just finishing school, secondary school, those taking tertiary education? How does that how do you feel carrying that I wouldn't say weight, can I say a crown,
Responsibility.
or that responsibility, being a young woman on a huge political scene, like being part of our future, being part of government or of a country?
It's not something I have taken lightly or intend to take lightly. Because the fact is, women have fought to be in this space for a very long time.
Yes.
And my grandaunt, Geraldine Rock, although she ran for a different party, she was the first female parliamentarian, and she's from Castro Southeast. She was from Forestier. Then you have had Menisa Rambali in 1997. We had history in St. Lucia of the 16 one, and Menisa was only 21. She's from Raven Paso Labi in Bexel. You've had Mary Paulius, who's from Chopin Badney, who ran for the UWP and also is now supporting the SLP. And, other persons have put their hats into the ring, and now it's my turn to take up the responsibility. I have not taken it lightly. And I said I don't intend to, because I know that even persons like Minister, who sacrificed their time and is on the ground reporting for duty to help us make history in Castro Southeast, all of these people are investing their time and their efforts, and they've really laid the groundwork. And it's not difficult groundwork, but standing on their shoulders understands, it helps me understand that it's not going to end with me, Ika. There's another generation or another young woman, another Heraldine Rock, another Minister, another Lisa, who will have to stand on my shoulders too. And so every single thing that I do has to be measured. I'm human. I will make mistakes. But when I was going to nomination day on Friday, and I was greeted with this, oh my gosh, the children from the Pexor Infant and the primary school, the love. They were just ready. They were excited to be part of the process. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, my goodness, the way they adore you and they talk about you and they're hugging you and they're loving you, it's because they see you and they hear you. It's because their parents are talking about you. It's because they're seeing you on the television. Their school teachers or even their classmates are speaking about you and they look up to you. So you cannot take your role lightly and believe that it's about you when you are just a vessel being used to ensure that people's lives are changed positively. And I think of those little ones, and that experience will never leave me, Ika, because it was just the purest form of love you can ever feel. And we always know that the children are not the ones who will fake it. You know for sure where
Yes.
the mood is by the feeling, and and how children demonstrate their support. There's this little boy who said he cannot vote but he can support Shanda, and the children even at their tender age they understand that.
Yes.
So it is a responsibility that is a heavy one, and it's one that can really change or destroy people's lives. I mean, what you advocate upon and what you end up executing as a parliamentary rep will change people's lives. And so, you being the servant of the people called to serve them, it's not a decision, it's not a responsibility, it's not a role that you take lightly.
Okay. And I know that you have mentioned your grand aunt, um, Miss Heraldine Rock, and of course, Melissa Rambali. Do you look up to, well, politicians like Miss Emma Hippolyte, OBE, also Dame Paulette Louise, other persons like that who have definitely, excelled in our society?
And that's a very good question, and absolutely, and I'll tell you why. Dame Paulette, even in her time, women in politics, women at the forefront, it was not a common thing. And she carried herself
Very well.
so well that even after she's no longer Dame, you still refer to her as Dame.
Yes.
And if anybody's mentioning her in a room, people are still standing to applaud and you still acknowledge her. So she's really made her mark and stood strong and firm in this political environment. Now, when you look at somebody like Emma has a way of getting what she wants for her constituents. She has this stern, very leadership like, very well put together posture that she knows what she's about. And it's not just because she's representing people now, but because of her history. I
Yes.
mean, she was head of NIC, she was in accounts, she worked in regional, well, international entities, like the World Bank. And Emma has really set a name for herself. She's ran an election, she lost, she ran again, and then she won, and this time again, she's going to win. So you always have to ask yourself, like, what is the secret to success used by women like Emma Hippolyte, although she had lost previously? And Emma is one person who has never left the ground. Emma understands that to stay elected, you must stay connected. She's always in a constituency. She's always touching her mother. She's always touching the young people in her constituency. And, they call her the voucher queen because she always has vouchers and people know that. But
Wonderful.
she's not holding back and saying, I'm not going to give to a UWP because that UWP person has a child that they need to send to school. So she's one person you have to admire because she's really stood firmer. She stood firm in that landscape. Dr. Poyet, who had won her seat, while she's not a candidate now, she was also on my
Yes.
platform last night with her heavy, heavy endorsement, which I appreciate very much. And she was able to take Babono back to the SLP, and she's supporting John Paul Estefan in Babono. So our
Wonderful.
women throughout the politics of St. Lucia have really left an indelible mark and really continue to support even the next generation.
Wonderful. All right, so we'll take a short pause and we will continue with your plans. What has happened, the achievements in your constituency, and your plans. I say if and when, I stand corrected, your seat, if and when you get that chance to serve your constituents and, of course, your country. So we'll be right back with much more on The Red Table.
Our country was hurting. The economy had contracted. Unemployment was at its highest. Nearly half of our young people were without work, and the spirit of our people was tested. But then, leadership that made people its priority stepped forward. From the moment he took office in July 2021, the Prime Minister got to work, establishing a minimum wage, removing income tax for workers earning under $4,000, and investing in the youth. Unemployment fell to its lowest level in history. Pensions increased. Universal health coverage began taking shape. Families got back on their feet, and hope returned to our communities. Now it's time to move.
Thank you so much for keeping it locked into Radio Caribbean International, the Caribbean Sound. This is the Red Table. My guest this morning is Miss Lisa Jawahir, candidate for Castries Southeast, and of course a very confident young woman who is definitely ready. And how Miss Jawahir, how much more ready can you be, since you seem to be well informed, well versed, and is like you're just ready to head into office tomorrow?
Well, thank you, Ika. I appreciate that vote of confidence. You're as ready as you can be in that moment in time. You've always been given instructions from the Prime Minister how far away from an election you should be prepared for. And every day you wake up is the first day of that period that you're advised to prepare for. And you go and go and go until the election is called, and then you execute that plan. So
Okay, so
we still have 3 more days, Ika.
right. So your question, are you confident with the support of your constituents, and what have you noted that has happened in your constituency, or the achievements for the tenure of the SLP?
I am very confident because the support so far has been like no other, as far as I've seen. And so you find a lot of persons who did not come into politics in the past are very involved in the politics because they are very supportive of Philip J. Pierre. They are very supportive of the SLP, and they believe the SLP has engaged in progressive policies that put them first. And so for my launch, which was the first of the launches for the Labour Party, we saw the support. I mean, it was none like any other. The production was positive, and the majority of persons that were from the constituency.
Okay.
Every week after, we would head to a different constituency to launch our 4 other new candidates. And just the fact that persons came out on motorcades, they came out to celebrate with us. They've been part of the whistle stops. I mean, it's been a sea of red, and the mood has been red in Castro Southeast. Every single meeting, you have an overflow of people in venues. It shows that people want to know what you are about. They want to know your plans, and they want to show their support for the government. Now, a lot of things one thing I've realized is, of course, Castro Southeast has almost an equal number of supporters of the other side. But you find a lot of those persons who come to our meetings, either they've switched to wearing a red shirt, or they come in their neutral colors and they come to listen and they express their support to you. And I think a lot of people have changed their minds of late because they think about the future of their children. They think about, their grandmother who's received the pension payments, somebody in their family who's a nurse who now goes to school and does not have to pay all this money. So people have been really connecting with the policies, and they're the ones who tell you that, they are just ready. They're ready for this movement to continue. They don't want change. So we get that feeling across the constituency, and it's a scary feeling too, Ika, because everybody will tell you, "Oh, you win already, you win already," and you want to continuously remind them, "Well, we win when the last vote is counted. So your
Right.
support now, thank you very much, but it now needs to translate to votes.
Yes.
Your support needs to translate to votes." And that is the message we've been pushing so far.
Okay. And as far as, probably a few achievements that you've noticed in your constituency during the SLP tenure,
Repeat that.
can you tell us at least one or two of the achievements, a few of the achievements that, the parliamentary rep for Castries Southeast, I know you're close, and can you okay, let me start over. Can you tell us
I think I
what's
understand what you're saying. Well, you see, even Mr. Henry, he
yes.
was able to finish some of his projects. So he recently opened the Labby school, the Labby daycare. He recently opened the Bel Air Community Center and the Cul-de-sac Community Center. HRDC is on stream to open um, in a few days. So
Mm-hmm.
it might be before the end of the week. And his style of doing things is his style of doing things. He worked as the director, the executive director of SSDF. He worked in poverty reduction, and so his approach is a very good approach. Of course, we speak every single morning. When I wake
Okay.
up, he's more than likely the first call that I take,
Okay.
even before I speak to my campaign team. Honorable Henry and I are very much in touch, and we talk about the transition. We talk about what to expect. We talk about what is missing to do, and he's been, that level of that support that you need from somebody who's no longer running a seat. And it really speaks to the unity that's in SLP and how we're able to put differences aside and move forward together, because the goal is not me personally, it's not him. It's about changing people's lives and transforming and ensuring that the future looks bright. And so he's been able to achieve a few things like that. And the policies of the SLP, of course, translate to Castries Southeast. We benefit
Okay.
like every other constituency from those life-changing policies of the youth economy. Last night, I even reminded bakers, that they can access the MSME grant, and the deadline is Friday. So just a reminder, just a
Hello.
reminder,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can access the MSME grants and ensure that you get your support. So there's a lot going on.
Well,
There's a
we
lot going on, and there's a lot that continues to happen. There's a good foundation laid. Right now, it's just for us to stand on that and just continue building those blocks.
okay. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm very happy to hear that you are definitely liaising and working together with Mr. Henry to continue the work that he has done and take advice and move on to a good foot. We're satisfied. I'm happy to hear that. So we're moving on to the next question, which is what plans do you have for your constituency if and when you win your seat? Not only
Mhm.
your constituency, but to serve your country.
Well, we'll focus on the constituency because we recently launched our manifesto, and these plans will be the overarching plans on how we serve Saint Lucia. Of course, serving your constituency, is serving Saint Lucia. We've spoken many times of incomplete projects and the projects that are beneficial to the people. Whilst you have somebody telling you that they're going to build tunnels under Peter to a river, and then they're going to package meat to sell on Amazon, unrealistic things, especially in our time. I'm focused on, instead of telling the butchers that we're going to package their meat and sell online, I'm focused on how we can first get to standardize what they're doing, because some of them
Yes.
constantly get calls and visits from the Ministry of Health as to the practices that they are using um, when they are butchering their meat and when they're
Right.
packaging their meat. So we want to first start there, and now we can have proper refrigeration for them, so that when they ship or when they distribute throughout the island, that it's ready to go, and it's hygienic. You understand? And even for them, they've benefited. The farmers have benefited from the water tanks and fertilizer. We want that to continue, but then we want all of these things to be on display, because Castries Southeast has the most number of butchers in the constituency, in the country,
In the country.
and establishing a farmers market where you have produce, where you have meat, where you have arts and craft on display, entertainment, um, food, cooking demonstrations. That instills a culture that, surrounds reinstilling pride in the constituency. Because we used to be the breadbasket of St. Lucia.
Okay.
We were the breadbasket. Everything was grown in our constituency. And now when a tourist lands at View Fort, it's like they're passing us straight and go to the north.
Right.
We're the
Right.
second largest constituency, Eco, and we want them to stop. We want them to stop for the market, which is going to operate in the day and the night. We want them to take a stop if they come to the cruise ports. They can come to Forestier and do our Pito Flow hike because we have a Pito in Forestier. We also have the nature trail. They can do that, which is less than 7 minutes, 10 minutes away from Castries. Come down to Mark, but enjoy the local cooked food, engage in cooking demonstrations. We're intending to build some eco lodging there as well, because there's some beautiful spaces with remarkable views in the hills of Mark. And so it's not that you have to run down and flood the south. Say, for example, Suffer. If you want to do the Pito hike, fine. If you want to do the Sulphur Springs hike, but if you look, fine. But if you're looking for something a little closer, Forest offers that. And
Right.
even lower down, on the other side, in Sandy Fe, we have the Amazona versicolor, which comes out when the fruit trees are bearing. Sandy Fe is home to a lot of parrots. And Sandy Fe has opportunity for zip line. There's also a waterfall in there. And that community in times past has been known as a crime hotspot. We want to change that. Because when you speak to the young men on the block who perhaps did not go to secondary school because their parents could not afford to pay CXCs, they don't want to be on the block. They want to be occupied. They now have children. They want to take care of their children. They don't want that life anymore. And so when you equip them with the skills and the training to become tour guides and to deliver their craft in proper spaces to facilitate what we want to do with the bird watching and the zip lining in Sandy Fe, you're creating more opportunities for them. You're empowering them. You're reducing crime through reducing the unemployment rate and, of course, ensuring that they are occupied.
Okay. And like I said to my guest yesterday, Kifo, this is what we want to hear from our candidates. This is what we
Mhm.
want to hear from our politicians. The plans that they have to upgrade and elevate our country and empower
Yes.
our people. This is what we want to hear. So just
And this
heading
is
to
just the tip of the iceberg, Ika,
yes.
because we talked about tourism and agriculture.
Which is very important. So you have our comments filled right now. Someone
Really?
says, yes, so I'll just read a few of the comments. Someone says, some of these school children even smarter than their own parents because they know and see what the government has done for their parents and the great way of changing their lives. So their parents should just follow their children mindset with Lisa. Life is so affordable. You have my support 200%. Someone else says, my entire family is voting for you, Lisa. Someone else says, good morning, my sweet rep. Good morning, Castries Southeast. We read and ready. Well, somebody mentioned their name. Tedbert Theebles is watching and publicly endorsing Lisa for Castries Southeast. And of course, you got love from Richmond, Virginia, all the way in the USA. Hello? You still there?
Sorry, I lost you
Hello?
for a bit there, Ika. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Did you?
I heard what you said about Ted, but
Okay. And you got some love from Richmond, Virginia as well.
oh, nice. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
So, final question before we wrap up the show today. I know I'm normally one of those Creole persons who always push it, but for for the past two for last week and this week I have not spoken any Creole as yet. I guess the mood is red and I just have to take it light. But what message would you like to leave with the people of Saint Lucia?
Sorry, Ika, you breaking up. You said something about Creole?
Yes, I know you are very versed in the Creole language, and I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay,
that for the
okay, okay.
past for the past week, last week, this week, I have not spoken any Creole yet because just focused on this program. But can you
Okay.
tell us what message would you like to leave with the people of Saint Lucia?
Of course, Ika, when they women say tout mom Labour Party, tout mom Castries Southeast, what kai tan a shy by, what kai we a shy by, nous trois jours avant nous aller elect Lisa Jawa here. Ek lani moun ki just pani pièce idea, yo pani pièce by pour yo di yo ka mette tunnel Mark pou ale vin la, yo ka di yo ka voye mit aso Amazon. Mais moi pas vini ici pour moi di hot se baptise ça là. Moi vini pour moi continuer ça Philippe JP kay fait pour ces moun là et li ba parti à tout ça Joachim te a fait. Nous kay do boutale ça et nous kay ensure nous ni progrès à Castries Southeast. I want the people of St. Lucia to know that despite the fact you would be hearing a lot in the next 2 to 3 days as we approach the election, it is an act of desperation to try to derail our policies because we are moving very quickly ahead and we are moving with that momentum from the constituency. Let us not be distracted because more is going to come, more personal attacks are going to come. We've given our lives to serve you and we are, just continuing to ask for your support. And of course, when we wake up on December 1st, God spare our lives, we are asking for your vote. We want you to vote for early childhood to continue, early childhood to be made available. And we want that. We want laptops distribution to continue, CXE fees to be paid, facilities fees to be paid, more scholarships for our young persons, more support to the pensioners, more support to the bakers, to the teachers, increased health services and access to those services where we can explore the next phase of universal health. And we want to ensure that all of these things that we have started, this foundation that we've laid in 4.5 years, can continue with Philip JP and the SLP. So I thank you in advance. I look forward to your vote on December 1st. And we're asking everybody, it doesn't matter who you have supported before. What matters is where your X goes when you go behind that box where nobody but God can see. So in a remarkable way, I want to tell you that I look forward to serving you. I look forward to ensuring these things continue, and I look forward to taking Castries Southeast to the next level.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so thank you very much, Miss Lisa Jawahir, candidate for Castries Southeast. We have one more question, but time is already up, but I'm sure it's something that you would probably like to think about, and you could probably speak about on your next platform before Monday. Someone asked, we know you are musically trained. What are your plans for musicians in Castries Southeast? So I'm sure that's something you can definitely
Well, we do have a
respond to.
plan, and interestingly, a young man with one of the biggest studios, recording studios in the constituency, came up to me last night. Yes, I'm from the Adventist community. Yes, it's a community of musicians. We play instruments and we sing. I won't sing for you now because I have no voice, but
Yes.
you'll hear more about that. Thank you,
Okay.
Ika. Thank you, RCI.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Castries Southeast. Thank you, St. Lucia.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And of course, do enjoy the rest of your day and wishing you the best on December 1st.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Messi Sedley C, thank you so much. Yeah, we got that little bit of Creole there today. Thank you so much. This has been the Red Table on Radio Caribbean International, the Caribbean Sound. I'm Ika Fergus. Join me again tomorrow morning, God willing, for the final episode of the Red Table at 7:30 a.m. To enjoy the rest of your day, and of course, join me tomorrow morning for another one-on-one at the Red Table.
Lisa, we voting for. Lisa, we voting for. Hey, Lisa, we voting for. There we go, there we go, there we go.